Hey everybody, welcome to Plastic Nostalgic, where all toys are nostalgic. Eventually. Now the other day I was digging through my G.I. Joe collection, looking for something to open up, and I came across this G.I. Joe versus Cobra from 2001. Now I have several Storm Shadows and several Snake Eyes, but I don't have this one out, so I'd love to open this one up and see what's inside. Today we have the G.I. Joe versus Cobra action figure set of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Snake Eyes versus Storm Shadow from 2001. Note, G.I. Joe file cards are located on the inside of this package. Don't start your mission without them. Okay, let's check out the back side of this packaging. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. On the back we have the G.I. Joe team illustrated here with Duke, Gung Ho, Wetsuit, Snake Eyes, Heavy Duty, and Frostbite. And on the Cobra team, we have, of course, Cobra Commander and Destro, the Cobra Moray, Storm Shadow, Cobra Claws, and the Neo Viper. G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. Its purpose to defend freedom and justice against Cobra, an evil organization determined to rule the world. The G.I. Joe team is made up of experts in different disciplines, and they fight for freedom whenever there's trouble, on the land, on the sea, or in the air. Led by Duke, the courageous sergeant, the G.I. Joe team must be ever vigilant to stop the evil plans of Cobra Commander and his forces. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. All right. Now, I did not collect these back in 2001, but I came across a few of them a few years ago. So let's get into this one. Always be careful when using a knife. You don't want to cut them toys and or the file cards that are inside. So I'm going to be carefully cutting it along the edge of the plastic here. Seems to be coming off pretty well so far. A little bit further. And it's off. Here's the card back with a little explosion look to it to accentuate the heroes and villains inside. Okay, here's a little flyer. And this is the file cards. Okay, a little different than before. Some brittle yellowing tape holds this together. It shows a little dojo with some bullets going through it, or red lasers and blue lasers. And a bunch of ninja stars coming through the windows and getting stuck in the walls. Make a nice little backdrop to Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Let's get them out of there. Get rid of that old yellow tape. This gray one got to be his. And this one is one of Snake Eyes. I'm not sure who these little knives belong to. Maybe one for each of them. Let's get this plastic out of the way. And check out our action figures. These are not the O-ring figures from the 80s. But they are highly articulated. Here's Storm Shadow. And he has a sword. And, oops. And he has another sword and a scabbard in his back. which looks like it is removable like the G.I. Joe backpacks of old. And he has this blaster here. And since he's on the Cobra team, it shoots red lasers. Has some real simple articulation. Not so much like the newer retro ones, but they do have swivel arms and a swivel waist, but no O-ring to get him in those other positions. Has a little Cobra insignia here on his ankle wrap. He looks a lot different than the original Storm Shadow, who was all dressed in white. Well, this one has a red mask, red wrist wraps and ankle wraps, and this tan looking tunic. He looks more like a mercenary ninja than just the classic ninja. Now let's check out Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes was in a wild looking pose in the packaging. Okay, wow, he looks like he's got some problem with his legs of some sort. I think that's just the way it is, and he has to be in a particular pose to stand up, maybe. Like a gorilla about to attack. His blaster will shoot the blue lasers. I want to stick the sword in his other hand. And the backpack, which is his sword's sheaths, fit right onto his back. Pretty neat. His stance is a little off-putting, but maybe we can get him in the ready. He does stand up kind of nice. And on his ankle wraps, it has the G.I. Joe logo. But not on this one. I suppose maybe this slides down in there. The little knife has a little scabbard of its own. And of course he has another sword in his backpack sheaths. Let's see if Storm Shadow has anywhere that he can put one of those knives. Nope. Let's see if it slides down in here. It sure does. Check it out. Well, he does stand up for a second there. It doesn't take much to knock him over. And he does look a little different than the classic Snake Eyes, with the addition to the blue wrist wraps and ankle wraps. But the rest of his garments is classic Snake Eyes, especially that black mask with the visor on it. Totally 80s. Even though this was a 2001. Let's set those guys up for a second. Come on, Snake Eyes, you can do it. There we go. Snake Eyes versus Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe versus Cobra. Now let's check out those file cards and the other flyer inside. The flyer inside folds out extremely large. And inside it has a illustrated checklist of the Cobra versus G.I. Joe collection. Collect them all, from Duke versus Cobra Commander, Gung Ho versus Destro, Wetsuit versus Cobra Moray, Snake Eyes versus Storm Shadow, which we just opened, Heavy Duty and Cobra Claws, Frostbite, and the Neo Viper. And coming soon, Scarlet versus Zartan, Dusty versus the Desert Cobra Claw, Sergeant Stalker versus Neo Viper Commander, and Nunchuck versus Firefly. In addition to those, they have a picture of the Brawler, Destro's Dominator, Rock Slide, and the Cobra Mantis Sub. And on the back side of the flyer, it also has an illustration of the G.I. Joe side of the characters we just talked about versus the Cobra side. Pretty neat little mini poster. So now let's check out those file cards. Now we've already seen the picture of the dojo here that's under attack from ninjas and blasting lasers. But on the back side of that is the upside down and right side up version of these file cards that are so classic and come to these G.I. Joe figures. And they want you to cut them out to make them look like the file cards of old, but I think I'm going to pass on that. And let's just check out and see what they say. Codename Snake Eyes, the Commando. File name classified. Serial number classified. Primary military specialty, infantry. Secondary military specialty, hand-to-hand combat instructor. His birthplace is classified and his grade is a E7. Snake Eyes learned his top combat skills in missions around the globe. A tragic helicopter mission took his voice and scarred his face. That's why he communicates with sign language and never removes his mask around others. He studied mystical martial arts with the Arashikage clan, which is also the family of the master ninja Storm Shadow. Snake Eyes is an expert in all disciplines of martial arts and silent weapons. He can move slowly and without being seen. At one time, he and Storm Shadow were sword brothers, linked by spirit and tradition. Now that Storm Shadow is part of the evil Cobra organization, there is no escape from a final battle between two of the world's greatest martial arts fighters. And this is codename Storm Shadow, Ninja Leader. His file name is classified. His primary military specialty is sabotage and demolitions, and his secondary military specialty is intelligence. Birthplace classified. Storm Shadow grew up in the Arashikage clan of ninjas during his training. His sword brother was Snake Eyes, the commando and martial arts master of the G.I. Joe team. The evil Cobra organization recruited Arashikage members. This corruption split the clan in two. After a Cobra agent killed Storm Shadow's uncles, he went undercover within Cobra to find the assassin. When the killer was revealed, Storm Shadow joined the G.I. Joe team to get revenge. But now Storm Shadow is back with Cobra. Are all Arashikage ninjas evil, or does Cobra Commander hold some special power over Storm Shadow? Whatever the reason, his anger is clear when he meets Snake Eyes. The battle between the Ninja Masters will be legendary. A ninja moves silently and is more powerful than all your weapons combined. Well, that was a The quote on the bottom of Storm Shadows and the quote on the bottom of Snake Eyes is, "The ability to move quickly and silently is my greatest weapon." But if that's a quote from Storm Shadow, he must have given it using sign language. But here are those cool file cards. Thanks for joining us today on Plastic Nostalgic, where all toys are nostalgic. Eventually. And if you want to see some more unboxing of some soon-to-be nostalgic toys, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. See y'all next time.